Imagine if you could stop users from sharing sensitive or confidential information outside of your organization. A scenario where somebody would create an email and we could identify whether or not an attachment to that email should be allowed. Well, with ShinyDocs Cognitive, you can do just that. I'm going to select the file that the system has never seen before, but is a lot like something that has been deemed confidential before, in this case, Reactor Design. The system identifies that this particular document is a confidential document based upon similarity to other designs that has been identified as being sensitive. So the system does not allow the user to attach that content. However, if you attach any other information, it attaches quite easily. So let's see how this is done. ShinyDocs Cognitive for data loss prevention allows a system to be trained on what type of information that is out there that can be deemed public, internal, confidential, sensitive, or completely controlled, and augment the behaviors of the users accordingly. It provides classification of content, identification of sensitive data, the complete toolkit for identifying the sensitive data, and then simple tools to prevent users from sharing that sensitive data. In a typical scenario, you'll have millions of documents in an organization across multiple systems. So having a data loss prevention control just on one system just won't do. What you need is the ability to identify where sensitive documents are across all of the systems and use that as training to prevent the users from actually sharing this sensitive information. So with our example data set, we have thousands of documents of many different types. We've used the ShinyDocs Cognitive Toolkit to understand what this content is by classification, by duplication, of course, meta information. All of this lends itself so that you can understand and identify and find the right pieces of information. But one of the byproducts of this classification is identifying which types of documents should be public or controlled. And you can, of course, specify different types of sensitivity associated with documents. So let's take controlled documents. In our case, we've identified that drug submissions, job offers, and design documents should all be considered controlled documents or your confidential documents. So what that means is anytime we encounter a document that is identical to one that is controlled, for example, this document here is identical to one that has been identified as sensitive. But what about one that's just simply similar to a document that's been identified as being sensitive? One that perhaps uses the same format, similar words. The system is also good at identifying which content is very similar to this and will stop the user from attaching this content. Behind the scenes, ShinyDocs Cognitive is keeping track of what's going on. User behaviors are tracked so that we know how many of these potential security breaches are happening, who is doing these particular activities, and what content was at risk of being shared.